Stanley, scuba, sailing, and adventures. Jeeping in California, Anza-Borrego, Fish Creek Wash. The Anza-Borrego Desert State Park is the largest state park in the state of California. It boasts 500 miles of dirt roads and 12 wilderness areas. There are many hiking trails to explore. I always enjoy heading out to California and meeting up with my friend Scott.
Yeah. Like you'll see, it's called Split Mountain. Let's wait until you can see it. So it's two parts of a mountain.
And then a glacier cut through.
No. So the Salton Sea is over there, right?
Yeah.
And the Salton Sea in dinosaur land, back when the dinosaurs were there, that was the water they would get to.
Oh.
So they would travel over and over this mountain.
And so the dinosaurs wore a rut.
They wore a rut getting to the Salton Sea.
Man.
Yeah. True story. Look it up.
Yeah.
The park is named after Juan Bautista de Anza and the Spanish word borrego, or bighorn sheep. That's the information I found. Anyway, I'm not sure about the bighorn sheep part. I'll have to ask Scott about that later. I didn't see any. It was just before Christmas, and this would be a short weekend trip. Being December, the air temperature in the desert was quite comfortable during the day. However, I wasn't quite prepared for how cold it would be at night. Being a gracious host and guide, Scott had gotten everything ready. All I had to do was jump on a plane and fly out to San Diego, where he picked me up from the airport. The Jeep was loaded, provisioned, and ready to go for the most part. We got a fairly early start Saturday morning and just picked up a final few things on our way out. This is really only my third experience in the desert. It just so happens the other two were with Scott as well. A couple years ago, we had taken his Jeep to the Off-Road Expo in Arizona and then done some trails and forestry trails. That was quite exciting. The only other time I'd been in the desert, we both had a conference for work that we had to attend in Las Vegas, so I flew to San Diego and we took Scott's Jeep through the Mojave and made it a little bit of an adventure. The Anza-Borrego Desert State Park actually has a really nice website with a lot of useful information. I was fortunate enough to be traveling with someone already familiar with desert activities. If you're not traveling with someone like that, or even if you are, it's probably a good idea to take a look at the desert safety tips listed on the website. Some of the most important, at least in my opinion, are that it can be extremely hot during the day during the summer and extremely cold at night during the winter. You need to have plenty of water, about a gallon a day per person. That's what I usually plan for on the ocean as well. Just like when sailing, a good hat, a long sleeve shirt that's light to keep you out of the sun is always important. Plenty of sunscreen. Also, similar to sailing, it's recommended that you carry a map in case the GPS isn't working. Like when sailing, I like paper charts. So, a lot of similarities, a lot of differences.
Quarter to 12.
Lunchtime?
I was thinking beer, but
yeah, beer.
I mean, anytime after 12.
That's true.
Then it's kind of safe, right? And it is Saturday. It's not like it's during the week.
It's not like during the week. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. If we were to stop, we could have a beer.
A beer could be.
No, we weren't drinking and driving. I was referring to stopping for the day and setting up camp to have a beer. We would end up carrying on until early afternoon before we stopped to set up camp. On this particular trip, we decided to explore Fish Creek Wash, which is on the eastern edge of the park. It's south of California Route 78. There wasn't much vegetation to speak of, although there were a lot of flowers, some yellow and some brilliant purple flowers. We did take a lot of pictures. Here's our day one trek with a zoom in to the campsite. It was a wonderful campsite, and we were largely protected from the wind, except from the north, and we didn't have any northerly component to the wind, so it worked out really well. The fire pit lost a leg, but we were able to make do with these large rocks. Just as it was becoming dusk, the first kit fox showed up. It was really cute, and I was very intrigued. It didn't seem shy at all. It was probably drawn by the smell of this wonderful meal that was near completion. Scott had brought his Dutch oven and made some pork spare ribs with apple cider, onions, and peppers. It was a spectacular meal. Afterwards, we settled in with a nice big fire and a little bit of rum. As the fire began to die, more and more kit foxes showed up. It was a pretty cold night, and I kept the propane bottle changed on the little buddy heater inside the tent. By mid-morning, we had everything packed up, and it was starting to warm up again. We were headed out, but then decided to turn around and figured we had time to go do this slot canyon we'd talked about. It was my turn to be behind the wheel. We didn't get any footage of me driving. I tried a little bit different camera configuration for this Jeep trip. I set up the GoPro Max 360 inside of the Jeep so that I could get a little footage of our witty banter. I had the regular GoPro mounted on top of Scott's roof rack so that we could get a clear view of the road. On previous trips where I'd had the GoPro mounted inside, occasionally the windshield would get a bug or would get dirty, and the video just didn't turn out as crisp. I think this turned out a lot better. I did have the GoPro on the roof in scuba housing just for some protection from the dust and dirt. I don't know if it was the shaking or the heat. The camera didn't seem to overheat, and it didn't power off from overheating like it does sometimes when I'm diving. But there were several occasions where the footage, the screen would just lock, the audio would continue to record, but the image would just be frozen, and unfortunately I lost a bunch of video to that, several gigs worth of video. I brought my Nikon camera as well and several lenses. We spent quite a bit of time taking pictures, and I ended up posting several of those on my Facebook page. I'll drop the link for my Facebook page in the comments, and if you're interested, go take a look at the photos. I think some of them turned out really well. This is the Slot Canyon, and it was really interesting. I hadn't done anything like this before. It seemed to get narrower and narrower the further we went back, and the walls higher and higher. We knew we wanted to be back before dark, and Scott was already familiar with this trail, so he suggested that there was a point further down where we could do a 3-point turn and come back out the way we'd gone in. Although I'd had some challenges with the roof-mounted GoPro, as I mentioned, I do have quite a bit of footage, and I think I will probably make a second video in the form of slow TV. If you're not familiar with slow TV, you might want to check it out. Regular subscribers won't be notified when that video does publish because it's not something I typically include on my channel. But if you search for it, if you search for Anza-Borrego Slow TV on my channel, you'll be able to find it. Backing track for this video was recorded and shared with me by my friend Scott. Thank you, Scott, for the backing track, and thank you for hosting and provisioning and all of the things you did to make this trip possible. Other equipment used during this adventure included the Garmin InReach. I didn't have any trouble with the GPS signal, and as far as I know, it was never lost. I had the tracking set for every 10 minutes, so you can see the lines don't necessarily correspond exactly with the path we took, but it's close enough to retrace our steps. Essentially, we just followed the Fish Creek wash down to where we took a left into this slot canyon. I'm not sure if this other trail, the slot canyon, has a different name or not. I don't recall, and I don't have the trail guide. If you ever get the chance, check out Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. I highly recommend it. I had a fantastic time, and I certainly hope I get to go back again.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.